Hi guys, I just wanted us to go through this presentation, and it's we want to look at something that is more substantive. We want to look at statistics, population statistics, and why is it that we have this big marriage imbalance, with black women, black men. And a lot of people have been saying a lot of different things, but it's not backed by any stats or anything like that. So I thought, why not take a hard data approach? I promise I won't make it boring, but what I'll try to do is show you why there is such a large marriage imbalance and why there's no real great solution for black men or black women. As a matter of fact, black men actually hold the key, but I'll tell you, even as a black man, I can see why they are not incentivized to ever get married. A lot of them, they won't, because you'll see by the population numbers. Because I took it from the Bureau of Labor Standards. We took some Pew Research numbers, and when you put it all together, you'll see there's no incentive for black men to get married right now because they are free agents. And it's not only black men who are doing this. Increasingly, a number of white men are doing this also. So let's take a quick look. So first thing, a lot of people say black men don't earn a lot of money, but they actually don't in comparison. But when you look at the latest the third quarter BLS study, you can see that they earn about $813 weekly, and black women $783. Now they earn a little bit more than black women, and that's nothing to brag about because we'll show you later that Asians earn far more. Like and Asian males are 1,300 per week. So that's not much. But this kind of tells you something that people are not talking about, why black men are more prone to go 50-50. If your wages and the if the black men's wages and the black women's wages are almost the same, then that means 50-50. Because as you'll see, their incomes together, it's only about $80,000. An Asian man's income alone, and later you'll see it is over $70,000. So he can do more of that, what women are looking for, resting in femininity. But, for black men, 50-50 tends to be, for most black men, what they can afford. Now, let's look at median household income, and this is what we're talking about. So if you look at the median household income for the blacks in 2018, it's $41,000. Like, you cannot run a household like that. And most of these households are actually single households. If they were to combine together, then they'll be about $80,000, which is similar to what Asians have. It actually would be higher than white non-Hispanics or just regular whites, right? But so marriage actually makes people have more income. But you'll see why there's a bit of selfishness, and I will agree. But through that, black men are generally not getting married, right? So let's go in deeper. So let's look at the population problem, because this is the problem that a lot of content creators never cover. Now, I took this from the Bureau of Labor Standards, and what basically this is just showing you the population over 16 years old. Now look at this, guys. There is a 2.8 million deficit of black men to black women. So therefore, even if every black man said, hey, I'm going to get married tomorrow, there'll still be 2.8 million black women who won't have a spouse. And I'll show you why intermarriage is probably not the same, because you look at in the white race, there are almost 4.4 million more white women than there are white men. So therefore, and you look in the other groups, that's where you have Asians and American Indians, all that, there's 1.2 million. So therefore, when you look at this, you are going to have a pool of, if you add it all together, about 8 million women who are all fighting for some men that are just not there. So that would mean that black women will be in direct competition with Asian women and white women for men that really aren't there. So let's look at the labor participation rate, because this is something that's very important. If you want somebody that's marriageable, you need someone that's working. If the person is not working, what's the sense of getting married to them? So I pay attention more to the male participation rate. And as you can see, and something that's very important, look at the participation. Let's start with white men. Look at the participation rate in 2000. Look at it in 2020. you can see that over 7.3% of the labor, the white male labor force fell out. So those men, almost 10% of 75.5, actually fell out of the labor force. And if you look in black men, you can see this large drop also, because you're looking at, a significant drop in the number of black men in the labor force. This is something that is happening that a lot of people are seeing, and they're saying, what is happening? Why is this happening? And as you can see, 6.6% fell out. And this is a theme that, look at this. Look how horrible the stocks are for black women, and it's somewhat white women also. You are looking at a fact that only 62.6, let's call it 63% of the few black men that are there are actually employed. And so, and this is not even employed, this is in the labor force. This means that you're either in a job or looking for a job. So basically, 37% of black men are out of the labor force completely. These are your bums. These are your bumtavious or your glocktaviuses and all of that. These are the guys who do not work. So 37%. But look out for white women. It's 32% of white men that are actually out of the labor force. So don't jump to conclusions. There's something bigger happening that people are not noticing. Now, let's look at the white population, and let's just quickly look at it. First thing, there are 4.4 more women than men, right? If you look at the income, 59,000 for white men, 48,000. 59,000 cannot run a household, a middle-class lifestyle that people want. And this is median, so meaning in the middle. So there's a lot of people, whites, who actually don't have a lot of money coming in. And so, and as we said, 68% of the men are in the labor force. And, as we said, 77.3 left the labor force. So people always, in a pejorative way, think that Becky's living the greatest life. No, but there are 4.4 million Beckys, more Beckys than there are Brads. And Brads are not earning enough money to actually have her rest in her femininity. Now, let's look at other race. Now, the other race, it's American Indians and Asians and that. But let's look at this for a little while. This is the man who actually earns enough money to possibly have a woman rest in her femininity. But his counterpart is actually earning quite well, 73,500, 62,000. But also notice there are 1.2 more million women than there are men. So as I keep saying, there are more women than men in all races. Now let's look at the black population. Very important now. So we did talk about this, 2.8 million. Look at the earnings. We analyzed the earnings, 42,000 versus 41,000. None of them can live comfortably by themselves. And so what we have to look at is this creates a big challenge. And if you look at the incarceration rate is actually 6.7% for black men. So, currently in incarceration. So, and that really translates to about 1 million men who are completely out of the dating pool completely, right? So let's look at how many black women are unpartnered, meaning they don't have anyone. Well, we let's look at it more like both black and, because it's 55, 62% black women, 55% black men, but they average off to 59%. Now, one big thing, as I said, if you look at the men's side, you see 1 million of the men are incarcerated and only 9.6 million men are working. This creates the biggest problem. You have 18.1 million women who are saying, hey, I want a partner. But look at the funny thing here. And it's not funny. Only 9.6 million men of these black men are in the labor force or working. So therefore, if you look at it, 8.5 million man deficit, that's not a joke. That is a significant deficit, which shows up in the unpartnered rate. You can see it. Then you look at the fact that 33% of whites are unpartnered. So I think a lot of black folks on YouTube or the black YouTube content creators forget that there is also a problem happening within the white community. As we could go back to Brad's, let's go back to Brad's earnings. Brad's earnings are 59,000, while, his Asian counterpart is 73,000. So he's higher than us. He's higher than the black men, but you're seeing that he's like in the middle, like he's in between. And so as we go through this, what you're seeing is there are 35.6 million white women who there's a deficit. They cannot find working men because there are only 67.2 million working white men are in the labor force. So 33%. So when people ask the question, why is it that the interracial rates are rising for black men at that high rate? It's because there are a lot of white women who actually are unpartnered. And this is something that is driven by economics. And it's there. And these, so think about it for a second here now. Let's go into this. Let's look at the intermarriage rate. So a black man with a college degree gets married at the rate of 30%. 30%. And we can see it all tie back together. There are so many white women and some Asian women who actually don't have a partner. And these men earn enough and they are considered for partnership. That will not be the same for black women. As you can see, getting a college degree only gets them up to 13% out intermarried versus 30% black men. But let's not understand this. Only about 50% of black women are actually married. So what does that mean? Or ever get married? So what does that mean? That means that you have to divide these numbers by half to understand of the entire black population. How many of these people are in or were ever married to some and person of a different race? For black women, you have to divide this 12% by 2. So it's only 6% of black women who have ever been intermarried overall. And for college educated black men, 15%. And for non-college educated, as you can see, it's 12%. So, key is there are a lot of unpartnered people. Now, something you have to understand, if there's so many unpartnered people, then you're going to have a lot of people being rejected or ignored. And I like this chart. I call it RETAC. And what it is I'm looking at how are you perceived by your partner. A lot of black men now are free agents. So they're looking for the best deal. So they're going to reject most women unless they meet this high standard that they have set. And women will say, hey, this is an unfair standard, but this is driven by population. This is driven by statistics. So a lot of women will be rejected or ignored or even tolerated. But to be accepted or celebrated now is a very high standard. And this is something that means that there is a set of beautiful, very attractive, very congenial women who are now the celebrated ones. And they're normally with, good providers. And it's not necessarily who you think it might end up being. So you're seeing very beautiful white women, very beautiful Asian women get with Hispanic men, black men, white men, because there is an imbalance. And then a lot of people don't understand how these single men survive on dating apps. And I'm showing you something here. These are called Tinder swipers. So these are just things that you can buy and they can just swipe. And what men will do is just set this up to swipe all night. And he probably says one out of 100 will actually answer him back. And so this thing will swipe maybe 20,000 women. And they think, hey, these men really like me. But no, these are just swipers. And because what these men are doing is saying, hey, if I swipe 20,000 women, then guess what? In the morning when I wake up, I'll see 200 women who answered me back. And out of those 200 women, he picks and chooses, which one he wants to be with. And this is the new game that they're playing because it's a single man's game. And as I said, these men are free agents. They are not beholden to anyone. If you watch NBA or NFL or NHL, these are free agents. They go with whichever team pays them best, and they're signing short-term contracts. There's no long-term contract anymore with women, which is marriage, right? And for a significant bunch, right? And then we always, a lot of people always think, I'm from Canada. We always think, this is just an North American thing. It's not. Look, or to a lesser extent, but look at what's happening in Korea, the chart on the right. Listen, 15% of Koreans, young people plan to stay single. There are another 15% who have not decided. So therefore, and then there's a 33% who plan to get married. So if you add this all together, there's about 63% of the people who are, the young people who are not married, and about 30% who are either on the fence or they're just never going to get, or they plan to never get married. Then look at the unmarried birth rates over here. Now, take a look at Iceland. 66% of the births are to unmarried women. 66. Sweden, 55. You know, United States right now, it's 40%. But what you're seeing is, look at it compared to 1980. United States was 18%. Now it's 40% because men are becoming free agents. This is not just a black problem. This is it's exaggerated in the black community, but it's not a black problem. This is the problem that's going around. The incentives to get married, to enter the marriage, are being reduced. Then you have this now, the Coomer. The Coomer, if you don't know what this is, these men, they find pleasure without a woman, and they're up all night, all day, and they don't think they need women. And so you have a lot of these men who are saying, hey, I'm going my own way. These, probably you call them the MGTOW, but these men are, and I'm suspect that they are a significant part of the population right now. Then you have the gamers, and a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people, life has gotten easier. So a lot of young men now are in these fantasy gaming worlds, and some of them are actually not working. They're in the basement, their parents' basement, or their brother's basement, and they're like, and when you think of it, these are not marriageable men at the point because they're not really working. They're out of the labor force. And one guy is in his parents' his childhood bedroom. Another guy, you can see him enjoying his gaming. It's a new lifestyle for quite a significant number of men. This one's funny. This is from a movie, but it's that lifestyle. Funny enough, in the 1990s, we had this whole talk of the slackers. It was in the Gen X. Did not know what to do with themselves. They were slackers, but they cleaned up and they did well. So end up, being that I'm in my 40s, I know that in the 90s we were worried about men. There's a lot of worry about men. They were slackers. You look at movies like Clerks and all of those things, and Mall Rats, and you see that old tradition, that old view of men becoming slackers. Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind. There was a time when you had grunge, slackers, and guess what? They grew up and they actually got jobs, and they're, but the thing is that there's a legacy of them not getting married. That's a big. So let's look at something, and there's something I want to talk about also. We need to, as a people, stop spouting out nonsense, right? Black women are the most educated. Like, this is the college gap. For people who have completed 4-year college, 25 to 30 to 35. White women actually have 45% of them have done this, right? They're the most college educated between black and white. Asians are actually, they're not on the chart, but Asians actually have higher degree rates. Look at it. I mean, black men is 17%, black women 25%, white men 36%. So let's stop carrying on this trope. But what's important with this is, there's an imbalance between educated black women and educated black men, but there's also imbalance between educated white men and educated white women, right? More women are getting colleges more, while men are focusing a bit more on getting skilled trades, right? So let's go back into the people who are not unpartnered. So 38% of all people are unpartnered, but this is something that, as we said, as we looked at the gamers and the people who are coomers, they're learning to live on their own and not get involved with anyone. And so if you look at this chart, 38% are unpartnered, 9% are cohabiting, and 53% are married. And this is across everyone, right? And so so let's look at this a little more to kind of figure out what's happening here. Now look at men who are cohabiting. So, all right, let's start with men who are unpartnered. Men who are unpartnered earn $35,600. And this is what I'm saying. It's all ties back into earnings. as Cardi B said, broke men don't deserve no partner, right? And so I'm kind of changing up what she said, but these men are broke, so they can't get partners. Look at cohabitating men, 42,900. Those men, women are saying, why should I get married? This, like, those guys are your 50-50 guys, right? Then you go to married men, they actually earn more, right? So, but even if married women, you see they earn more than unpartnered women. Unpartnered women are doing poorly, and a lot of black women are unpartnered. And then, I went, I was looking at the New York Times, and Charles Blow, good good opinion writer for the Times, and he picked up on it, right? And as you can see the last sentence. The exception is among black adults, where 62% of the women are likely to be unpartnered and 55% of men. That difference is 7%. That 7% of is people who are black men who are intermarried, right? Or in a partner relationship with another race, right? So as we look at this, right, what we wanted to look at say is there is a clear problem, and this clear problem cannot be solved with any weird solution. People are saying all this manner of things. Go get you a partner from another race. Go get you this. Go get you that. It's not that simple, because what's happening now, there is a deficit of in the population, men versus women. But what a lot of people, and I'll talk about it in the future, is that the key is to get to the gym, get fit, all of those things to put yourself in a good position, because everyone will have to explore. They have to open up their options, because even if every black man got up tomorrow and said he was going to fix up himself and clean up his life, there will be 2.8 million women unmarried. And the thing about it is, remember, 1 million men are in prison. So that still means that you'll have a deficit of 3.8 million. And that's 18 million, 3.8 million. And that's not going to happen. Every man is not going to get up and do that. And you can't just say we're all going to run to the white community, because as you can see, there's a deficit there also. And there are more white women than there are white men. And that puts black women in direct competition with white men's preferences. And so my main thing is, I think, and I won't offer any solutions because I don't have any. But what we need to do is understand what's the root cause of the problem. And in understanding the root cause of the problem, then we can go on that journey of finding out what a possible solution is. But each solution is not in a group or a mass wave. It's in your own individual interest to get fit, to do what you need to do, and try to enjoy life, because we have to be adults and understand that the cards are stacked in certain ways, and we have to accept it. We can't just fight everything. We have to accept these. And it doesn't make sense to get angry about this, because the percentages are just not working in the way that we would want them to work. And so we're looking at it from the women's standpoint. From the men's standpoint, the issue is men who are actually doing what they're supposed to do, who are working in the labor force, all of that, they have their pick of women. So these men are actually excited about these times, but a lot of them won't settle down, because the problem with these men is that they're seeing that they can date a lot of different women, different races, different ethnicities, different income brackets. And so they have no incentive to settle down right now. And because they see it as they don't earn a lot of money, the woman doesn't earn a lot of money. They don't see that importance right now of that. They don't see what women will bring to the table for them. And we have to understand this. And so in closing, I really wanted us to understand what the problem was. And in understanding what the problem was, I plan to do more on how we, possible solutions from. I don't have the solution. I'm not that smart to come up with a solution for this. But what I can say individually, if I was in this situation, I was a woman, I was a black woman or a white woman, I would hit the gym and I would exercise. I would read more, and I would try to meet men organically, meaning from church, meaning while I'm doing activities or that. That's how I try to meet. I'm married and I've been married for years. If I was a young black man at this point, oh my God, I'd be in heaven and paradise right now, because this is the population gap that would make any ugly man be a Casanova. But hopefully there would be some incentive for me to get married. So thank you guys. Those who made it this long, I hope that you got something from this. Thank you guys. Hit the like or subscribe button. Thanks.